And good afternoon, and welcome to day one of the World Economic Forum in Davos. Seems like we've been in this rodeo before, but it's great to see you. We have the group CEO of Doria Company, Jerry Inzerillo, and we're tackling a subject that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is, how do you preserve culture while there's this major wave of urbanization, but at the same time give the best of technology to enhance the experience? For those who are not familiar, this is a $62 billion project right in the heart of Riyadh with a great UNESCO heritage attached to it. And this also raises that question, how do you balance preserving that heritage with a kind of fine touch to make sure, though, still at the same time, that visitors and residents and those who come into Riyadh have a phenomenally good, rich experience at the same time? First, let's give a nice, warm welcome to Jerry Inzerillo. And giving the signal that everybody knows. I actually requested this panel, so we'll have fun in the next 20, 25 minutes.
Thank you, John.
Let's start with the subject of the heritage that you inherited, and that's at the center with Al Turaif. But as you successfully rolled it out, the leadership, particularly His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, was suggesting, look, this looks great, let's scale it up. But how do you strike that right balance between scaling up something so large, but preserving the heritage that you inherited there?
Yeah, thank you, John. Always good to see you. It's very comforting to know that you could have a young friend like you over 30 years. And
Jerry and I both started at 10, in case you're wondering.
and here we are doing meaningful work. So today is very, very special to all of us because, as you said, it's the birthplace of the kingdom. It's the ancestral home of Al Saud. But most importantly, it's a source of Saudi identity, and it's the source of national pride. This is very important. So we wouldn't have had today, have we not had the leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman. May God always bless him. So because he's a historian and the foremost expert on Al Saud, he knew the day would come, and certainly our Prime Minister, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, knew the day would come, in the Vision 20 manifesto, that we would open up the kingdom to tourism, which I was hoping would happen for many years, because I've always had a great relationship with Saudi. So some people said to me after a 50-year career, why did he go to Saudi now? Because it's authentic. It's really priceless today. But when I looked at what His Majesty wanted and what the Crown Prince wanted, it had to have a few elements that we couldn't tamper with. National identity, source of pride, House of Al Saud, birthplace of the kingdom, quality of life. How do we open up the kingdom where people can see 300 years of authentic cultural heritage? But how can we make the city walkable, pedestrian friendly? How can we accomplish goals of where people would be healthy and happy and raise families and thrive commercially also, not just sociologically? So when we sat down, the original master plan was 400,000 square meters. It's now 14 million square meters. Well, why did it go from 400,000 to 14 million? Because His Royal Highness saw that when we did 400,000, it might have behaved, the UNESCO site, like a park. It might have been a bigger Hyde Park or a bigger Central Park. So His Royal Highness wanted dynamic energy. He wanted people living, praying, working, going to school, raising families, being outdoors. So that came up with, okay, now we're going to open up a 300-year history that most people didn't know, right? So now this is a data point a lot of people miss, but it's a simple one. So everybody knows for the last 95 years that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been called the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But what was it before that for 200 years? You know, Arabia. But what was it before 200 years of Arabia? 300 years of Diriyah. So a lot of people don't know that's where the name came from. Another data point that's very interesting is that everybody knows that Beverly Hills sits in the metroplex of Los Angeles. But why would you know the size of Beverly Hills? Not an important point.
No.
It's 14.7 million square meters.
Oh, wow.
Today is 14.2 million square
Right.
meters. But the difference is Diriyah, sitting in the metroplex of a new Riyadh, is devoted to a pedestrian-friendly, quality of life, cultural and heritage city that's devoted to the 300 years of Saudi's third state, right? First, second, and third state. So then when we sat down and did the master plan, we put 42 hotels because we knew people would come from all over the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of people think you're overdoing it, but I'm sure you've mapped it out.
No, we have it all mapped out.
Yeah.
And there's no overdoing it because we know what the kingdom's potential is. In Vision 2030, we said that we wanted people outside 3 times a week, family activities, walking, jogging, horse trails, bicycles. We've already done that. We've accomplished that because just today alone, we've planted 9 kilometers of parks, right? Here's something that His Royal Highness did, which is genius. We have the Western Ring Road, which emergency lanes is 10 lanes. We have King Khalid Road because it increases the mobility around the UNESCO site. He gave us extra money to tunnel those 2 major arteries so we could put parks above them. So the entire 14 by 14 kilometers is walkable, skateboards, bicycles, being outdoors, all quality of life. We planted 6.5 million shrubs, trees, and bushes with smart city technology, right? So this means that now, for the first time, you'll have people coming from all over the world. Our UNESCO World Heritage Site, thanks to the King, we're one of 8. We got recognition in 2010. In December, we welcomed our 4 millionth visitor. Last night, Diriyah Festival, Layali Diriyah, Bajeri Terrace, our restaurant district across from the UNESCO site, our new Zalal, we did 3,200 covers last night.
Wow.
So people are coming and enjoying themselves.
Well, I've noticed in the last few years, since you launched the project, particularly going back 8 years now, which you surprised me. You told me this when we had a chance to chat. It's now become a must-to destination if you're in Riyadh. So that's been a shift in the last 48 months, I think.
Well, but it was always in the plan because you see, here's the beautiful thing about Diriyah. It's authentic and it's rich in its culture and heritage. Now, you and I know, because I had previously in my career, to create something with my colleagues, which is Atlantis.
Yes.
But that was completely make-believe. It's not authentic. Now, it's commercially successful, but now you're talking about something that is really, really meaningful, right?
Can I ask you something on this? And I don't want to interrupt you, but I think I had moved to the region full-time, covered it for 30 years, but moved full-time in 2011. And there was a tendency in the GCC not to embrace that heritage. And I didn't want to overplay it, but did Diriyah change that model? Because, you know, Westerners and our friends in the Far East, when they come and visit, they're looking for the heritage.
Right.
But I think the GCC and even Saudi, if you look at other parts of Riyadh, super modern, embrace that modernity, but you actually shifted that mentality, I think, with Diriyah. Am I correct?
Well, I don't think it was a shift. I think what happened was that there was a recognition because it's very rare that you have 2 visionaries at one time. You have His Majesty the King and the Crown Prince. Why is that very interesting? Because the father knows the 300-year history better than anyone.
That's true.
But it's very unique that a young head of state would embrace the culture. In other words, His Royal Highness feels our identity that we carry forward is defined by our values of the past. So when people come to Saudi, let them see our warmth, let them see our culture, let them see our welcome, our invitation, right? So that was always a big thing, that when people come to Saudi, they're not coming to see a country that's 30, 40, 50 years old. They're coming to see a country and a family that's hundreds of years old. And we've done that. And people are enjoying it because it's done all organically. You know, today it doesn't resemble or think, it's not a pop culture city like in Orlando or Las Vegas.
For sure.
Successful, but not. This is a city that's steeped in values, in unity, in national purpose, and it's the definition of a family.
Good. We have a lot of business leaders in this audience. Can you give us an update? The residents have been going up for sale. There seems to be a lot of demand, but the makeup of those who are purchasing homes in Darea, for example, and if you don't mind sharing, I know it's early days, but update us on the foreign direct investment that's actually coming into the
Yeah, this is
the arena.
we've turned a big corner because there was a lot of excitement about all the giga projects. Now, one of the things that we heard a lot, you were there in 2018, 2019. Why do you have so many giga projects? This was a common question. And the answer to that simply is that if you take the other GCC countries that you know very well, they're relatively geographically small. All of them would fit into the state of California, but Saudi is 5 times that size. So if you're going to get into the big game of tourism, which would generate GDP going from 3% of GDP to 10% GDP to create a few million jobs, welcome all young Saudis home with new opportunities. You have to have several things in a big country to come to if you're going to do 100 million visits. Now, remember, thanks to our great Ministry of Tourism, we accomplished that in December of 2023. Then the Crown Prince moved it up to 150 million visits. Okay, but
But they did beat the 2030 targets.
correct. Now,
And also as a share to GDP, I think.
right now, what happened is that each of the giga projects has its own personality. It has a different offering for people that come from all over the world. So if you love culture and heritage, today or in Jeddah or in Alula, as I said, 8 UNESCO sites. If you love sand and sea, look at the fabulous job John Pagano and the team are doing in the Red Sea. And then you got Neom coming, you got Jeddah coming, obviously the 2 holy cities of Mecca and Medina. How could you measure the importance of those? So now what we're seeing is that people want to live in today because they see it coming out of the ground. It's not theoretical. It's no longer renderings. When you show it actually coming, our Bob Samhan Hotel, one of 42 hotels,
Beautiful.
will do a 91% occupancy this month, right? By the end of 26, early 27, we'll have another 7 hotels, right? So now we've sold 16.5 billion SAR. We've sold over 4 billion US dollars in residential real estate. Why? People want to live where they can walk, go out, be in a beautiful environment, safe. Obviously, the kingdom is super safe, right? So now that people see office space being built, which we've started occupying, now people seeing residences. Our Ritz-Carlton residences, which we sold out 140 units, will move people into them later on this year, right? So our Wadi Spar, the new 27-hole Greg Norman golf course, the new country club, the new Royal Darea Polo and Equestrian Center, those are done, and the Polo Center will be done by this time next year. So now people have amenities, schools, housing, places of worship, 31 mosques, the new Imam bin Saud Mosque with those beautiful 60-meter minarets up, the new King Salman Mosque on the boulevard under construction. So there's a lot of excitement. We just did a deal that we'll announce after the board meeting with a European developer out of Italy. That's 1.4 billion euro coming into the kingdom. We did an amazing deal, Saudi deal with the Four Seasons people for the beautiful new Four Seasons Hotel Darea. We did a big deal with our great developers, Dar al-Arqam, with the Trump Organization in Wadi Spar. So we've signed all the major luxury hotel companies, many of which are under construction. So even not 2030 for the expo, Darea will be almost unrecognizable by 2028 in a good way.
Interesting. The buyers, you getting international buyers, or is it almost exclusively Saudis or those who already live in Riyadh? And this is a city, by the way, Jerry. His Royal Highness has a target to make it a city of 15 million, to be a top 10 in the world. That doesn't spill into Darea and create this chaos.
Well, Darea is the jewel in this new modern metroplex. But I'll give you an idea about modernity and preservation of culture. We have the largest non-manned metro system in the world now.
Yes.
But it's modern. and beautiful. As a matter of fact, it's so beautiful that we have crowd control issues because everybody in Saudi likes to joyride on the metro. It's amazing, right? Everybody goes on it like it's a ride, but it's beautiful, right? But it didn't fit into the typology, the mud typology of Diriyah. So we put those 3 metro stations underground, 45 meters in rock, already carved out. Now our colleagues of RCRC will retrofit the metros into them. 2 other metro stations, King Saud University, right? So now it was originally so that most Saudis were buying homes for what I said earlier. But through the Ministry of Investment, Commerce and Finance, we've signed over 700 companies. You've covered this extensively. So now what we're finding is Gulf residences where Saudis bought in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Doha. Now the Gulf countries are buying in Riyadh because they're regional headquarters. But what we're seeing lately, 11% of sales are coming from multinational companies that are setting up their shops in Diriyah. So now they're buying houses for their CEO, their CFO,
Wow.
their teams that come in. So we feel very strongly that within the next 2 years, the amount of residential sales is going to be robust.
Great. We've had conversations of you setting up a media zone, for example, with that sort of level of heritage that's there. As I told you, when we set up our studio there, it was an amazing backdrop, actually, to have it for television. But what industries do you think will be housed in Diriyah as people come in to the area to make it their
Yeah,
home?
there's a few things.
Do you want creative? Do you want the artists? Do you want technology companies? What's going to happen over time, do you think?
Well, organically, there is a plan because Diriyah 2 is actually the kingdom's Silicon Valley. So Diriyah 2 is configured for 500 tech companies, 100 media companies, and 50 entertainment companies, okay? That will come, all the land acquisition is done, infrastructure is being put up now. That will come after 2030, shortly after 2030. So you're going to have a lot of tech people, media people.
Interesting.
Right. And that's interesting because that will bring a younger workforce. So that's why in our housing, 16,000 houses, you have to have studio 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom apartments, not just the super farms that are being sold in the Wadi Spar, right? So organically, it's planned that we would have those industries. But inorganically, there's a lot of people, especially Saudis now, that want to live in a place that they can walk to a restaurant, walk to work, walk to school. So a lot of people want that urban feel, but we didn't see Diriyah like a kinetic Cairo or a kinetic Rome.
Yeah.
Great cities. We saw it more like Florence, Marrakesh, Siena, Fez.
Interesting.
But His Royal Highness was very strict in not making it geometrically defined by like a New York City, avenues and streets. He wanted people to meander around. Oh, there's the mosque I must turn to go to my hotel. Not like a theme park. So it felt very authentic the way it was. Now, what's super interesting about Diriyah, which I love, is that most people now describe Diriyah as authentic if they're a little bit more global. But a lot of people find it very, very comforting and calm and human. We get that a lot. So that's a really nice thing. And we're seeing a lot of families moving into Diriyah now.
Good. That's a lot of responsibility. I know I've known you for a long, long time. It's a $62 billion project, right? So I actually budgeted to 64 with some cushion there. But do you feel the weight of that responsibility to have a model that takes that balance of protecting a heritage, the urbanism we talked about that's underway, you're bringing in different sectors that will kind of test that technology and the rest, and even how do you kind of bring in the artificial intelligence to enhance the experience while still maintaining that heritage? It's a fine balance, and I know you love it. I know how many hours a week you're putting into the game, but it is something that's a hell of a challenge.
Well, there's two things. there's the personal thing with me, and I'll talk about that in 2 seconds. But let me address this thing, because sometimes there's a perception that there's a conflict between the preservation of culture and heritage and modernity, and especially technology. We don't see it that way. So up on the surface, His Royal Highness wanted people to walk and experience and feel something welcoming and authentic. But under the ground, you have 60,000 parking spots. Now on your phone, thanks to AI, we know all traffic movements. We have thousands of data points of what people like, what they don't like. They can book their reservation in a restaurant. They will never lose their car. It will tell them where their car is. They can book their hotel. Now, you can walk into 300 years in the same organic mud UNESCO site, but now the children go into the museums, and through AI and through technology, they can feel what the Saudi first state was, how the mother was preparing the daughter for a wedding, how the children were taught the Holy Quran in school. They can see what it looked like 300 years ago, 200 years ago. This is beautiful with technology, right? So environmentally, the use of water, air quality, traffic control, mobility, we can all do that with AI now, right? We're already operating 6,000 of our 60,000 parking spots profitably. Now, in terms of me personally, because as you said, it's not our first rodeo. There is a fulcrum of balance, because is there a weight of delivering this project? Of course. There's not a day that goes by where I don't walk on site and say, dear Allah, I yelled at my mother when I was 8, so please forgive me. I got to deliver this project. But it's balanced by the fact that I praise and thank His Majesty, and most especially His Royal Highness, for giving me the privilege to trust elements of today's leadership to me, and to give me the profound honor to work with these young, passionate, dynamic Saudis. I'll tell you what, I go into work as an old dog. I can't wait to go to work, because they are so fired up, and the leadership potential in the kingdom, just my staff alone, are powerful. We're going to be a baby Aramco. We're going to be producing talent at Today for decades to come. Just what I have now.
Good, a great description, Baby Aramco. Okay, before we leave, and for the audience in the room, which knows this, but do you want to explain what this is all about?
Yeah, well, a lot of people
you're not in the room and you're looking internationally, it's like, what's with this guy putting up the finger?
Yeah, this just means there's only one John Defterios. I've been doing
I didn't pay you for
I've been
that.
doing it for years. I owe you $1. I'll say this very quickly. A lot of people want to know what the origin of that was. When we came to the kingdom, I knew that there was a lot of hungry young Saudi talent. But I knew there were certain disciplines that we did not have in the kingdom, because we never had to focus it as a national agenda. Marketing, entertainment, tourism, design, different things. So I knew that we were going to have to bring the best and brightest expats from all over the world, which was encouraged by His Royal Highness's vision. In Vision 2030, we will take the kingdom's resources, develop our own people at the speed of their ability. That's why we're thrilled that so many Saudis are coming home. But in the meantime, while we master certain things, we will attract the best and brightest expats. So I needed, one, that each individual is responsible to contribute to 2030. The individual is critical to the collective success. In our victories, we share them, and we're going to make some mistakes. And a big thing, we're one family, we stick together, we don't break ranks, right? And then what happens is we have to be unified, because that's the only way we're going to be able to deliver this scope of work by 2030. And it's worked. And now the young people embrace it, because His Royal Highness embraced it, and it's kind of caught on. But it was originally intended as a symbol of unity, and a symbol that the individual is critical to the success of 2030, but we're one team, one family, and in better or worse, we always support each other. And I'm thrilled that the team has always embraced that.
Good. Final question, if I may. You were talking about this when you showed me your master plan of, 5 years ago, I think, it was that stage. And you said, I think this could be one of the seven wonders of the world. Number 8, I think, is what you were saying. And I don't want to overplay it, but it's this brand of the City of Earth is pretty well known. Are you happy with where it is and that recognition? The Colosseum, Eiffel Tower, Empire State Building.
Acropolis, you're Greek.
Acropolis, yeah, I'm Greek. Yeah, that's not good. Told Jerry about a recent debate I had, which is quite interesting. But what are your thoughts about that? I don't want to overinflate it. This is not a public relations exercise, but I know you kind of live and breathe this. It kind of runs through your veins.
Well, I will tell you this. Thanks to His Royal Highness, Diriyah is authentic. It represents more than a city. It represents the soul of its people. All are welcome from all over the world to come and see that hospitality and that sense of welcome. And they're going to discover what we know. Now, I don't care how famous you are. I don't even care if you're Beyonce or Oprah. You got a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower. If you're Brad Pitt or George Clooney, you got a picture in front of the pyramids. There is no one in a few years that's coming to Riyadh and not taking their picture in front of Salwa Palace.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
You wait a few years from now. You can't believe it. All day long, there's people taking the pictures. Now, it is our picture from when we hosted the G20. That's the symbol of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is its origin. So now when you look at the Acropolis, is it emblematic of the Greeks? I would think so.
Yes.
Is the Colosseum emblematic of the Romans? I would think so. Diriyah is legitimately emblematic of Saudi unity, Saudi heritage, Saudi perseverance, Saudi hospitality, and Saudi expression of culture and heritage. And we have to give His Royal Highness credit. I thank him for giving me the ability to be a temporary captain of the ship. It's my honor. But I'll tell you, the greatest thing is the leadership that's coming up with these young Saudis, because they're superstars, men and women.
Yeah, they do knock your socks off. They're out to prove their time. Yeah,
I think I may change the only one Diriyah and say to my team, can I have a day off? Can I have one day off? I may change it.
You're asking for the day off? They're going to ask
I may ask my team, can I have one day off? I mean,
anecdotally, I had a friend of mine from Germany, and he said, I'm making my first trip to Riyadh. He didn't ask for any support or anything like that. And I said, what's your itinerary? He said, I'm coming to Riyadh. I definitely want to see Diriyah. I'm going to Ula. I'm going to Jeddah to see the souk. And I'm going to the Red Sea Island resorts. So that's without any prompting. Yeah. Then he was asking for recommendations in between. So that is an itinerary that's going to expand, obviously, right, when we build.
Yeah, no, the future is extremely bright.
Pretty strong.
But it's powered not just by a beautiful country or by a sense of warmth and gracious hospitality. It really, as Princess Rima says, Her Royal Highness, it's powered by the positivity and optimism of the country expressed through its young people, thanks to His Royal Highness given generations of opportunities to come.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Always good to see
Jerry
you.
and I had a list of questions, and we had like a 10-minute conversation before. I like to describe it almost like a jazz band. We were riffing, but in a very different direction than I was anticipating. But thank you for going with it.
No, thank you,
Can
Jim.
we give him a nice round of applause, and those seeing us from abroad, yeah?
Thank you, James. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yep.
And by the way, I would like you to, I didn't know about this
I should
water
have asked
until
you
this
during that
morning.
session.
But you see this bottle of water, I just noticed is Helena. That's my daughter's name. So thank you, World Economic Forum, for recognizing
nice.
my great daughter on the water bottle. No, thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
for
thanks
coming.
a lot for coming in.
Great. That was fun.